Before
seating
leaving, she was
and a
making
place
a
to go home
quarter
to sleep.
million dollars, and now she's making 33 this year. She left a $250,000 on the table to make $33,000 a year. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Would you quit your $250,000 tech job to pursue your passions? Because this is exactly what she did. And this is by CNBC Make It. I'm going to see how exactly she makes and saves her dollar. My name is Elijah Rhodes. I'm a fellow engineer myself. Let's just get right into it.
I went from making $250,000 a year to now expecting around 33,000 this year, and I'm so much happier now than I was before.
Damn, this is good.
How you take of the matcha matters, the ratios of the matcha powder to water matters, how you whisk the matcha matters. I knew that every little thing would matter for the success of Matcha House. There was like very little
Okay.
room for error. So the first 2 months, I only trusted myself to whisk every drink. My entire life is work now and I don't regret it. My name is Michelle Young. I'm 29 years old and I earn about $33,000 a year living in New York City.
She's making 33,000 in New York. This must be poverty. There's no way she can survive living on $30,000 living in New York City. She must be living with someone or roommates, maybe. Let's just find out how she's actually living. Maybe I'm overreacting. Let's see.
I grew up in San Francisco. It was my single mom raising the rest of us in a neighborhood right next to Chinatown. She's an immigrant and she had to figure out how to make ends meet. My family did a really good job in not making me feel like we were poor, even though I was fully aware we were. For example, I slept in the same bed as my mom throughout my teenage years. For as long as I could remember, financial stability was the ultimate goal. My older brothers and I, our main goal was always like, we gotta get rich. Like, we gotta get to a point where we don't have to worry about money again. My oldest brother,
And this makes sense because most millionaires are actually newly made millionaires. They aren't just inherited wealth.
who is my idol, he told me that software engineering is the next big thing. So I decided to pursue it because I was good enough at it. And I ended up going to college for applied math and ended up a software engineer. Going into my college
That's
dorm, it
awesome.
was
She
the
got something
first
within
time I
STEM.
had my own space. And thinking back, it was the first time I had my own closet actually. So it was very like life-changing. When I got my first offer as a software engineer, I was actually sitting on the toilet, and then I got the phone call, and it was $160,000, and I was actually in.
She made $160,000 as her first tech job offer. Now there must be probably some more context behind this, as it could be a good chance that she did internships while she was in school, had some type of experience while she's in school. Because nowadays you have to have that experience because you're not gonna automatically get a job straight out of college with minimal experience. It's just not gonna happen. So that's probably what she's did. But let's see if she speaks more about it.
Shock. I started to realize the freedom I had with that amount of money. I could travel anywhere, anytime I wanted. I could buy almost anything I wanted. If I enjoy something and I feel passionate about it,
And I would definitely say there's definitely a mental shift from speaking as someone as myself that hasn't really came from much myself. When you actually start making a lot of money or much more money than you ever have, it's definitely a mental shift as far as what you can buy compared to what you used to cannot buy. And now you're making all this extra money. So now you need to decide how I'm actually going to be spending it. And that's really the hard part.
I'll go all in. And if I start to lose sight of the purpose of it, I'll just dial back and I just will be very demotivated. And that's kind of what started to happen towards the last few years of my career as a software engineer. I realized pretty soon that I was doing it because of the amount of money that was providing me. And the work itself just felt like it wasn't really doing anything. It feels like fake work.
Sounds like she getting
And I
burnt out.
realized the problem wasn't really the workplace itself because my teams were pretty decent. The culture at the company I worked at was pretty good too. But by then I had already come up with this idea to start something of my own and doing something more physical. Around
She's definitely
2022,
unique in that way.
2023, I started to realize I needed to switch careers completely, and I wasn't really sure what I was going into, but I was pretty sure that the money part was not what was important to me anymore. I was saving, but I wasn't completely sure what I was going to do next. Around 2024, my friends and I go out to get tea and we try different matcha spots, and we just kind of realized that there wasn't any good matcha places in New York. And I was making matcha at home for like years at that point already. So I was like, why is my own matcha better than the store-bought ones? I decided I really wanted to open a store in New York. I felt like New York really needed it. And so I started to do some calculations on my own just to
It was very
think
bold
about
of her
if
to
it's
start her
feasible
own
for me.
business.
I saved up $200,000 cash savings to open up the cafe. And that's what I felt like I needed. And it's actually a small amount for New York. A lot of places cost a lot more to open, but I thought I could work with that. While I was still at my software engineering job, I worked from around 4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. till my first meeting at my software engineering job. It was hard, but it was very exciting. It was like really fun for me. I loved working at Starbucks. It was so fun to like do something physical and like just learn this completely new skill when I've been sitting behind a computer for the last 5 years.
And this is a concept that I really like that she did, as in she worked her full-time job while she was funding that passion. Now, ultimately, we know that she actually quit that job to pursue that passion. That's a part where I really don't like as much, but I do like how she actually worked her regular 9 to 5 so she can fun and do the things that she like. I'm a big proponent of, hey, why not do both, right? Why not make as much money as you can while, on the other hand, do what you love, do what you like. I don't really have any problem with that, but I will say when you do make a business or go full hard into that business, it is like a second job. So I can understand how she's getting burnt out in a sense, especially when she wants to pursue the things that she loves. But let's see what she has to say next.
I think I was on my own little mission and I had these own little tasks I needed to complete before I'm able to open. And it's just this little training that I set up for myself at Starbucks. We actually struggled to sign a lease on the first 3 places I liked because landlords didn't want to trust a new business owner and also a small business. And then we had issues with our contractors. Some of our counters are still unfinished, but they refused to take accountability, and we still ended up having to pay them because I was just on a time crunch to open. The night before we were supposed to soft open, our basement and our upstairs flooded. We were having a friends and family appreciation night, and behind the curtains, there's just like flooding going on, and we just had to mop over it. I was too busy for anything except just doing the
must have
next thing that
sucked.
had to be done.
She had some
Nowadays,
trials
my
before she even
expenses
opened.
are just what's necessary, so I spend most of my time here anyway. So I was really just
Before
eating
leaving, she was
and a
making
place
a
to go home
quarter
to sleep.
$1,000,000, and now she's making 33 this year. She left a $250,000 on the table to make $33,000 a year. This is insane. This is absolutely insane.
I spend $1,750 on rent.
It's my favorite part, the budgeting. Let's see how
on
she
food,
actually budgets.
$112 on transportation, $38 on utilities, $25 on subscriptions and memberships, $15 on my phone bill, $94 on other things.
Now let's just take a look at this budget here. As we can see, rent is the biggest expense. I'm assuming she's living with someone, or maybe this is partial, maybe building expense. I don't think so. But rent is huge, and if it, everything else seems pretty okay. The rent is very alarming. Of course, we got to keep our Netflix and Spotify though. Let's continue.
Had my own place, and it was a decent sized studio
All
in
right.
a very convenient location in Manhattan. But
Oh,
I knew I needed
let's
to
rewind
give
that.
size and other things. Had my own place.
So she traded her, before opening, she traded her $3,000 a month Manhattan studio for a roommate. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because she
And it was a decent
doesn't make
sized
as much
studio
money
in a
now.
very convenient location in Manhattan. But I knew I needed to give that kind of luxury up. So I took on a roommate, and now I live in a 2-bedroom with a roommate in a location that's a little bit further off. I miss that studio a lot. I loved living alone, but it's just
I
like one of
bet.
the sacrifices I knew I needed to make.
So obviously I'll just stop by and say hi.
I know. My friends, I would not have been able to do any of it without my friends. I started it alone. I didn't tell anyone about the idea for like the first 4 or 5 months. And by the time we started getting these issues, I was like, I need to actually ask for help. And my friends just came through. And then once it opened, all my friends and friends of friends came through to support and lined up like down the block. I think some of my friends waited 2 hours. It was like the heat of the summer. I was just like in awe, like so speechless by the support of my community.
I don't think she had
I
a
would
good
be
opening,
working
which is
on
good.
bar from like 7 a.m. until like 6 p.m. or whatever, like just standing all day.
Working them
I
long
didn't take
hours,
any breaks
though.
either because I had to whisk every drink. And my friends would come and bring me food.
Okay, that's good. That's awesome. She's able to
Now
employ
we've
some
gone to
people
the
to get
point
some help.
where most of my employees can run the shop without me. And my typical day is mostly admin work. I schedule my staff to be able to manage the store most days of the week, and then I'll work on bar on a Saturday usually, and then maybe 1 to 3 other days of the week. I work like just all hours I'm awake, I guess. I'm just always working as long as I can, except Sundays. I try to take 1 day of like complete rest. Software engineering, I worked probably less than 40 hours a week. At the end of the
It's a
day, I
big
just
change.
feel happy about what I've done in the day. I feel happy about the customers I've gotten to interact with and make their days a little bit better. My life is less about like how much money I'm making right now and more about like what I'm doing every day. When my life was about having a work-life balance.
I'm gonna stop it right here. It seems like she's really fulfilled in what she's doing, and she actually accepted the reality and the sacrifices that she really had to make to actually get this going. I can't say I really like her quitting her job in order to do a business like this, but I can definitely understand. Hey, this is my passion. I really want to do this, so I can respect it and honor that. But let me know. Would you make the same decision that she made? Would you quit your regular, steady pacing job to do a venture that's not so certain? Let me know what you think down in the comments and what you thought of the video. I'll see you soon with another one.